Everyone, welcome to Lauren's Scrapplot. My name is Lauren Urbonas and I'm an independent Stamping Up Demonstrator here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Now, if you are looking for the great North American Stamping Show competition, you are in the right place. We are on Season 5, Episode 3 this week. And I cannot wait to compete with Jodie, Julie, and Lisa to see what they come up with our layout challenge for the week. Now, before I show you what we're doing, I would like to congratulate our winner from last week, and that is Jodie Reinhardt. Congratulations on your adorable win with the Safari Celebration stamp set. Now you guys get to play along every week because all four of us will be showing you our creations, and then it's your job to click the like button on the project that you think should win for the week. So these have been posted Thursday evening, and that win will come in Sunday at midnight. Of course, you are always welcome to watch these videos and enjoy the replays. So if you're watching at a later time, please still go ahead and like and comment. We love hearing from you, and make sure to just give encouragement to everyone because I know that the ladies have worked hard on what they've put forth. So just a quick little encouragement in the notes makes a huge difference to everyone. I am excited to present the beautiful gallery suite collection. So our challenge for this season is we have picked different suites every week, and we are going to be inspired by a layout on one of these pages. So you can take one of these items and recreate it, or you can modify it. Last week I did the Turtley Cute suite, and I grabbed one of the cards from the catalog, and then I made a series of 5 other ones because I wanted to give you a lot of other ideas of what you could do with the designer series paper. So again, make sure to like and subscribe to all 4 channels because you will get notifications every time we post, and you can go back and watch the videos later. If you are wanting to watch the videos for the other ladies, their links are in the description down below. I this week decided to go a little different. I'm not doing a card. I wanted to play around with this box. It looked intriguing to me, and I love 3D items. So I figured I was going to play with this box inspiration this month. And hopefully we can see on page 52 what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let me show you how to make a little 3D gift box using the Scenic Adventure Bundle. So we're going to start with a piece of cardstock. Do you want to see the project before we go? Okay, here you go. Here is the box itself. It is perfectly sized. Hold on. To fit a Twix bar because everybody likes Twix. Well, hopefully everybody likes Twix, or of course you could probably put something else in there, but I thought this box would be perfect for just a little treat for the summer. You could put some nuts and trail mix in there if you wanted to pass it off to somebody to celebrate a birthday in the July or August months, or of course just to encourage somebody as well. This is a nice design as well if you have maybe male bus drivers or school teachers, because you can also just put a gift card inside on top of a little shredded paper or something like that. So it's a really nice gift for somebody in your life, and of course us ladies love this kind of thing as well. So here's what we're making. We are using the Scenic Adventure Bundle. It has lots of great sentiments, some great tree and lake stamps, and then gorgeous mountain and tree dies. There's even some grass and other fixtures like a little fire and the sky. So if you're interested in learning more about how to use this bundle, I do have a class in Canada. It can be mailed anywhere in Canada coming up in July. So check out my Facebook page, Lauren's Scrapplot. Here's your base. I am using Azure Afternoon, and we're going to refocus you there. We need this cut at 7 inches by 7 5/8. So I have 7 inches lined up at the top by 7 5/8. Now, on the 7-inch, do you like my Post-its? 7-inch side, we're gonna score at 1 inch and at 6-inch. And you'll have to pardon me for having these done ahead of time. I just find it's a little easier for you to see what I'm doing if it's in front of you. Now we're gonna turn this. We need the 7 5/8 inch going across the top. I'm gonna fix that so you can still see. We are scoring at 1 inch, once again, 1. Then 3 1/4. I know that's tricky to see, but 3 1/4, all the way down. 4 1/4, all the way down. And last but not least, 6 5/8. So remember on your score bar, if you go to 6 1/2, that's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go 1 tick past, that's 5/8. This is how I learned, right? My husband goes crazy. Now I need to do a little bit of cutting on this. And that's going to be making our box base. So it's completely up to you. If you're somebody who would rather fold on all the score lines first, you can certainly do that. If you'd like to leave this flat, that is okay too. I think I'm going to go ahead and fold my score lines just because I do find it a little bit easier to not have to come back and do everything all at the end, but you're welcome to keep them later. So the scoring, we're just folding in. Everything folds in at the beginning here, okay? So just one at a time, every single line folds inwards. There we go. So you have something that looks like this at the moment. If you were to put it all together, it's like a fat little rectangle. But we need to do some cutting to make our box fold nicer. We do not need the scoreboard anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. And it's out of our way. We need some snips. And we're going to do the same thing on each side, so it doesn't matter where you start. So these little squares are going to be what we're working on primarily. So square number 1 down in the bottom left, I'm cutting from the bottom up to the score line, and then I'm going to move over and I'm just going to separate all of these little lines. Okay, so you want all these lines separated so they're nice and loose. Now you could fold your box up very easily like this, but I find sometimes the papers bump into each other. So what we do is we're going to do little triangular notches in the small square areas. You're not touching the large rectangles. So what I do is I just cut a tiny little triangle from the bottom up to the corner. And this is all I'm pulling out. Something teeny tiny, but you're just angling those pieces, okay? So you don't have to do much. Don't worry about it being pretty. They're going to be hidden, so they don't need to be exact, but we're just making little V's, little triangles out of all of our pieces, just in the squares. There we go. Now what we do to one side, we have to flip over and do to the other. So first cutting this apart, and one last one. Then we will add our notches so our box folds very, very easily. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Go. And 1 and 2. Here we are. 1 and 2. Perfect. Okay, we have our box base done at the moment. However, I would like us to work on cutting out some of our pieces and getting those ready to assemble on the box before we actually put the box together, because it's much easier to attach all those things while this is flat than it is for you to add them later. So we're going to set this base aside for the moment, and we're going to do a bunch of different cutting pieces. We're not going to get to the mountains and the trees yet, but we are going to do this Secret C cardstock and the designer paper in the background. Okay, so to begin, we're going to do all of our Secret C layers. So for the front of the box, this guy right here, we need a piece of Secret C that is 2 1/8 by 4 3/4. Don't worry about memorizing these. You can always hit pause right now. In the description down below, I've listed all of the different sizes. So you could pause me, go cut those pieces, and then restart the video, okay? Or you can follow along. So 2 1/8 by 4 3/4. Now on top of that, you will need some designer series paper to decorate. This designer series paper is from the Everyday Skies online exclusive. It is part of the Sweet Collection sale that's going on until the end of June. So just keep in mind that you should check out online what items you can get for a buy one, get one 50% off deal until June 30th. That counts for anything associated with a suite. You can also get an entire suite for full price and then one for half price. And suites include bundles, papers, embellishments, ribbons, or you can mix and match items from inside the suites like single bundles. So lots of potential for savings. Make sure to check those out. This is Everyday Skies. We're going to cut this at 1 7/8 by 4 1/2. And we're going to be mounting those two together in 1 minute, but just bear with me. Let's cut all of our other pieces first. Now, on the front and the back of our box, we need decoration. So we need 2 strips of Secret C that go on the front and back, and 2 that go on the sides. So those measurements, we need 2 of them that are 3/4 inch by 4 3/4. And these 2 are 3/4 inch by 2 1/8. To layer on top, we grabbed a little bit of scrap paper. 1, 2, this is again just from the same piece of Everyday Skies designer paper. 3, 4. We need 2 of them that are 1/2 inch by 4 1/2, and 2 that are 1/2 inch by 1 7/8. Now you may go ahead and start attaching these pieces together. You can use glue, you can use seal, you can use tape, whatever you prefer. Just don't throw them on the floor like I did. There we go, back. Okay, tape. I like tape. Doesn't make a mess all over for me, and I just got used to using it, so you'll see me using tape a lot. 2. This guy. 1 and 2. There we go. The fun thing about this paper is there are so many different sky scenes. There's sunrise, sunset, just regular clouds. So you could change the color scheme of this project really to match any paper or theme that you wanted. So don't be afraid to play around with different colors. Now on the back of all of these pieces, we need to put some adhesive. The strips are going to have a flat adhesive, so tape, seal, or glue. The large centerpiece though, this guy here, we're popping up on dimensionals, okay? So flat adhesive for the strips, and then some dimensionals all the way around the large centerpiece. My dimensionals have run away. I need to get some more, I guess. Give me 1 second. Find them as soon as I'm done the video, I'm sure. Okay, if you are using glue, perhaps just do one of these at a time, but at the moment, we're doing just fine. We're going to start with the large centerpiece, because if you bring your box back and you take a look, there is a slight difference in size between these two main rectangle sections. And I know it's subtle, but it's there so that your box is just slightly larger on one side and can fit over the second portion. So what you need to do is you need to grab your centerpiece, and don't of course stick it down, but just eyeball this and see, okay, if I put it in this section, do I have any sort of border all the way around? And the answer is no. So I'm going to move up and see here, do I have a border? And the answer is yes, there is a slight border all the way around there. So of course, this is going to be the section that becomes the top of our box. So turn this towards yourself because that's how your box is going to close. Pick which side of your paper you want to be the top of the sky. Some of them it doesn't really matter. And you're going to center this inside the large box section. Okay, now these 4 panels around it are going to be the panels you see from the front. So of course they would be the ones we want to decorate with our little strips. There will be a blue border all the way around. And you can see now why I made you just wait, because if we had picked the wrong side of the box, things would not close up very well for us. Some of these papers will be directional depending on, what paper package you choose. So you may have to just rotate things a little bit in front of you and, play around with what would be showing. But your priority is this top piece here. Okay, we are going to assemble the box now because it does become a little difficult to do all that work once the details are going on. So with your box open on your table like so, we're going to put adhesive onto those 6 little squares, now triangles, that you had cut originally. So again, glue will work just fine. I'm going to do tape because I think it's easier for me when I'm trying to show you what to do. And I'm just putting a little bit of adhesive on all 4 of these panels. Okay. Right. Now, it doesn't matter whether you build the top of your box first or the bottom. I'm going to do the bottom just because there's less temptation for me to accidentally make a mistake. So I'm going to be very careful not to touch the other adhesives, but I'm going to go ahead and take all my backings off. And then we're going to build the bottom of the box here. Okay, so the bottom of course is not decorated. So we're going to start with these 2 tabs that are at the top of our workspace, and we're going to tuck this underneath the rectangle next to it. So stand it up and tuck it under, and then make sure to press nicely with your fingers. You could even come in with a bone folder if you needed to later. So we've done that to one side. We're going to do that to the other side. Just building our box up nicely pressing that together. Now the bottom of the box needs to be fully encompassed, so we're going to take these middle triangles and attach them to the other side of the box. Stand him up, that around. Okay, there is the bottom of our box. It looks great, but we need a top. So there is one set left. We're going to tuck this triangle underneath the flap that's next to it. And that should give you two sides that have designer paper. Once again. And because we double checked that we used the big side, our box should, if you move these tabs out of your way, close and tuck right inside itself. We did that. Okay, to decorate, we're going to get really intensive with these beautiful Scenic Adventures dies. So I'm going to pull out my tree line. I'm going to pull out my mountains, and I have pre-cut this double tree and this single tree. I know it's very hidden in there. If you wanted to use even more, you can add another mountain peak, but I'm not getting that crazy. So for my mountains, that will be the first thing I do. I need a piece of gray granite that's 1 7/8 by 4 1/2. You're going to take your die with your sticky away, rest it right in the space here. The mountain should almost be at the top because we want it, I've cut this the same size as this piece, so you want it almost at the top, but not quite, because you do want to see a little sky. And then when you roll it through your cut and emboss machine, you come out with something that looks like this. It has a nice texture and pattern to it, but it's ready to add on to the project using dimensionals. Nails are getting a little long, but I've been enjoying the Disney design, so I'm procrastinating going in again. I'll go soon. Now when you add this to your card, it's going to line up with the designer series paper. Okay, so don't put any across the dark Secret Sea. We're just lining this up in the sky space. It was cut so it's the exact same length. And there's your mountain scene. Now with the tree line, I did cut it so it was the same size once again as the designer paper. So just to remind you, that was 1 7/8 by 4 1/2. But you're not going to want to put your die right at the top because of course your mountain's right at the top. So I actually went at a bit of an angle so that I used this empty space here and filled it with a few trees, and that my trees looked like they were sloping down a hill. So I didn't go directly across, I just kind of did a little angle cut, and that's what it looks like. Before I put these trees on, I'm going to show you how you can add a little bit more depth to the project just by using the Scenic Adventures stamp. Of course, if you don't have this, it's fine. Maybe you can use some other water feature, but we're going to grab, sorry, the camera likes whatever's tallest. There you go. We're going to grab either Night of Navy or I have Misty Moonlight here just because it was on my desk, and do some stamping. This is Night of Navy cardstock, by the way. And I've mounted this little water looking stamp, okay? I'm going to stamp once in full strength, and then right away I'm going to stamp again just to use up what's on the stamp. it gives you kind of a depth perception that you might not get otherwise. And I would like to go again, so I'm just going to line up right beside, stamp once, and then I don't really want any on the trees, so I'm just going to stamp over top of what I've done already, and it's okay, it just ties it in. You can even stamp if you've got a break in your water subtly. So there you go, that just adds a little bit of dimension to your project without having to do much at all. Dimensionals once again are in order to get this up, and we're putting those just on the base part of the tree line. You don't need any up on the trees. Two and three. Goes all the way across the bottom. Like so. Now, fancy trees. We have one Night of Navy tree that's a double tree and one single. So we're going to put the double one on at the moment, but not the single one until after we've done our sentiments. When you put this double tree on though, just put dimensionals on the very bottom section, kind of by the trunk here, because we don't want anything underneath these ones up at the top. If you do, then you're going to want to stack them a few layers high if you do end up wanting to give support to that. But these two dimensionals will hold this. So you don't need to, oops, I put one over the hole so you can see it. That's not nice. Take your pick tool is great. You just get under the dimensional and pull it up. There we go. Much better. And like I said, if you did want to put like two dimensionals stacked on top of each other to do the background, you absolutely can. Let's do our sentiment. I have no idea what kind of sentiment you guys want to do, so I'm not going to tell you a specific measurement for your white strip, but it's going to be 1/2 inch, and then you're going to trim it down to whatever size you need. So I'm using Cheers to Another because I figured that was a great all occasion sentiment, but you can easily use congratulations or thank you or thinking of you, happy birthday, whatever you're tailoring this to. I'm going to use our new Tim Tiger ink, and I'm going to stamp towards the edge of one of my strips. These are all just scraps from when I cut card inserts. I just save them because they're great for my cards. And to give it a little character, I'm just going to cut at a slight angle right there. This guy gets popped up on dimensionals, but of course the cheer word, you don't need to put anything underneath there because it's resting on your tree line. So just a couple dimensionals underneath here. This goes kind of across your water line. And then I did just want to add one more detail. So this single tree, we're going to stand him up on the right. I thought it looked the nicest if I was able just to cover the edge of this blue piece. So I just rest the tree trunk right along the edge there, and then wherever he falls in the pattern. So there you go. There is my submission for this week. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give a like, but do go and check out the other submissions from Julie, Jodie, and Lisa, because I'm sure they have come up with beautiful things as well, and we will see you next week for another edition of the Great North American Stamping Show. Bye.